We are at war with COVID-19. We are at war with terrorists, and we are at war with the drug cartels as well. This is the United States military. We will defend our country at all costs, or regardless of the cost. That is General Mark Milley. He spoke earlier today at the coronavirus task force briefing at the White House with President Trump. And that is regarding to a headline we'll be talking about today. And today we will be focusing a little bit on geopolitics, not a little bit, but we will focus on geopolitics today. Hi, my name is Michael Sabat, and now thank you for joining me on my channel. So please hit subscribe if you want to see future content below. And let's start today with some breaking news out of the Daily Wire. This is from the Daily Wire. Breaking. Trump launches massive all-out military offensive on the drug cartels. Now, that is a very significant step from the president to take. If that is true, the military engaging the drug cartels openly is it's not. It's happened before, usually with the Coast Guard, some naval troops. But now it seems we'll be using some special operations and probably the entire Salmon Command. So let's explore a little bit about what's going on right now in the military. It says here. President Donald Trump announced on Tuesday that the administration was launching an all-out assault on Mexican drug cartels using the U.S. military. As governments and nations focus on the coronavirus, there is a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain. We must not let that happen, Trump said. We will never let that happen. Today, the United States is launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from the deadly scourge of illegal narcotics. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives, Trump continued. In cooperation with 22 partner nations, the U.S. Southern Command will increase surveillance, disruption, and seizures of drug shipments and provide additional support for eradication efforts that are going on right now at a record pace. Now, I want to say a little bit about this. Is that this is one of those things that could have a lasting impact in our fight against the drug cartels. Now, we have to keep in mind that the drug cartels, the Mexican drug cartels, all other drug cartels in South America, they're not an easy foe to fight. They've been around for a long time, much longer than people think they are. They've actually, I think maybe probably since the 20s. If you want good information about this, check out Joe Rogan's interview with Ed Calderon. Ed Calderon is a Mexican security expert. He used to fight the drug cartels in Tijuana, Mexico. It's a very excellent interview, and it really gives you a whole depth of knowledge from listening to that of what is going on down there, and having our military fight these drug cartels. Now we have to keep in mind that the Mexican drug cartels are not just in Mexico. They are not just some gangsters down in Mexico killing people. Now these are very intelligent people. These are business people who have families in the United States as well. A lot of them have children here, and a lot of those children have grown up to be Americans. So we have to keep in mind this is a full spectrum war that we're waging here against the drug cartels. But let's continue. We are deploying Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft, and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters, and Air Force surveillance aircraft, doubling the capacities in the region, Trump continued. Very importantly, our forces are fully equipped with personal protective equipment, and we have taken additional safety measures to ensure our troops remain healthy. Secretary of Defense, Secretary Mark Esper said, today, at the President's direction, the Department of Defense, in close cooperation with our interagency partners, began enhanced narcotics separations in Eastern Pacific Oceans and the Caribbean Sea. To conduct the enhanced operations, the President has directed the deployment of ships, aircraft, and security forces of the United States to the Southern Command area responsibility. Included in this force package are naval destroyers and littoral combat ships, Coast Guard cutters, P-8 control aircrafts, and elements of an Army Security Force Assistance Brigade. These additional forces will nearly double our capacity to conduct counter-narcotics operations in the region. What that sounds to me is that they will be using much more sophisticated radars, much more sophisticated logistics, and fighting a lot of these cartels who are trying to smuggle a lot of these drugs through the sea route. And one thing is that they mentioned Army Security Forces Assistance Brigade. That probably means that they'll be using special forces or special battalions, special operation battalions that are or brigades that are going to go in there and fight man to man against some of these drug cartels, which could mean that we will possibly be facing a lot of those losses. Now, you have to keep in mind that the Mexican military has been fighting these cartels, and they've been having a hard time as well. These are not easy groups to fight, and this by launching this fight openly by a military, we have to be committed to this for a long term, and a long haul, and it seems that they have worked out with their partners in this in Southern Hemisphere in Mexico. I know that we've worked a lot of a lot of deals with the with the president of Mexico in regards to the illegal immigration problem, but this is a whole new ball game, and Mexico has to be ready for this as well. But that is not the only news that is out today, because today we have news from the other side of the world. This is coming from China. China concealed the extent of the virus outbreak, U.S. intelligence says. And this has riled some cages here in the United States. China has concealed the extent of the coronavirus outbreak in its country, underreporting both the total cases and deaths it suffered from the disease. The U.S. intelligence community concluded in a classified report to the White House. The officials asked not to be identified because the report is secret, and they declined to detail its contents. But the thrust, they said, is that the China's public reporting on cases of deaths is intentionally incomplete. Two of the officials said the report concludes that China's numbers are fake. Now, this is big because for months now, we've been hearing that China has successfully stopped the COVID-19 coronavirus in their country. And granted, they have used draconian measures. And this is a country that has welded people shut in their apartments. Some of those apartments have been open after they welded them shut, and they found dead bodies in there. There's been footage of that going around the internet right now. But still, I'm not surprised. Coming from a communist country, I am not surprised that this report has happened. As Paul Joseph Watson would say, shocking, But let's continue. The report was received by the White House last week, one of the officials said. The outbreak began in China's Hubei province late 2019, but the country has publicly reported only about 82,000 cases and 3,300 deaths, according to the data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. That compares to more than 189,000 cases and more than 4,000 deaths in the U.S., which is the largest publicly reported outbreak in the world. Communication staff at the White House and the Chinese embassy in Washington didn't immediately respond for the request to comment. The reality that we could have been better off if China had been more forthcoming, Vice President Pence said on Wednesday on CNN. What appears evident now is that long before the world learned in December that China was dealing with this, maybe as much as a month earlier than that the outbreak was real in China. Now, even up until January 14th, the Chinese government has told the World Health Organization, or WHO, told them that no, there is no human-to-human contact with this COVID-19 coronavirus. That is a lie. They knew about this since December. There have been reports all over the place. As a matter of fact, I mentioned in my video yesterday that Tim Pool and 6X and Hammer has been covering the outbreak since late December, and lo and behold, they've been proven right. So I can every time the Chinese government will say something, I'll have to take a grain of salt, and you should as well, because China lies and people died. Republican lawmakers in the U.S. have been particularly harsh about China's role in the outbreak. Enhancing Beijing's role in the pandemic could be politically helpful to President Donald Trump, who has sought to shift blame for the U.S. outbreak away from his administration's delays in achieving widespread testing for the virus and mobilizing greater production of supplies such as face masks and hospital ventilators. The claim that the United States has more coronavirus deaths than China is false, Senator Ben Sasse, a Nebraska Republican, said in a statement after Bloomberg News published his report. Without commenting on any classified information as much as painfully obvious, the Chinese Communist Party has lied, is lying, and will continue to lie about the coronavirus to protect its regime. And I can't stress enough, my mother is of Chinese descent, and nothing irks me more than the Chinese Communist Party. It's almost as if they're like a parasite in the Chinese community, in the Chinese people over there in China, that they latch on, and they control the thoughts and the culture, and they tell you what to say. And if the Chinese Communist Party says, well, blue is green, everybody says that blue is green. You can't resist from that thought. I mean, and then I'm sure, and there are a lot of those people who defend the Chinese Communist Party as though it is part of them. What irks me, one of the things that irk me is that in the online community, there are a lot of Asian, especially Asian guys, is that they defend the Chinese Communist Party as though the Chinese Communist Party is what's going to elevate them in their status. I think that's BS, because the Chinese Communist Party do not give 2 cents about you. Take that to the bank, Asian men, especially Asian American men. They don't give 2 cents about you. They don't give 2 cents about their people. The Chinese Communist Party will save itself first before it will save anything else. It's always about the preservation of their party first. But I digress. That is my opinion. And there will be moves after this. I guarantee you there will be moves in the government after this whole fight. And the Chinese Communist Party will be looked at. The Chinese government will be looked at. And there will be a whole shift in the relationship between the United States and China. And I want to make this clear right here. This is what happened. And this is what really sets it apart, because the medical community interpreted the Chinese data as this was serious, but smaller than anyone expected. This is by Deborah Bix. She's the State Department immunologist. Because I think probably we were missing a significant amount of data. Now that we see what happened in Italy and we see what happened in Spain, I can't stress this enough. There's a hashtag right now that's trending that said, China lied, people died. China did lie. They used the World Health Organization to cover their tracks of their mishandling in the beginning of this outbreak. They knew this outbreak since, there was even reports that they knew about it since November. Yet they covered it up. They never said anything. They still allowed people from Hubei province to travel outside the country. And when President Trump barred people coming in from Wuhan in January, or is it February? January, February. They call him racist. They call him somebody who's trying to rile things up. And I think that was wrong. Either we demand an apology from the Chinese government, or we demand an investigation. And Jeff Sessions, oddly enough, has been calling for that. Here we are. Jeff Sessions, former senator and former Attorney General of the United States, who is now running for Senate again, says, I am calling today for Congress to immediately establish a select committee on China to lead the investigation. The select committee should be given authority to wield full investigative powers, including the power to compel witness of the United States Congress. We have used these types of committees before at critical moments in our nation's history, including after the attack on Pearl Harbor. after the Watergate scandal and after the Iran-Contra affair and others. There should be severe consequences for China if it refuses to cooperate as we uncover the full extent of Beijing's guilt. If China hasn't been lying to the world about the Wuhan virus, it should have nothing to fear. We need to call the Chinese Communist Party's bluff. And I will completely agree with that. We have been talking about this virus since December, late December. I've been talking about this personally since January to my coworkers, everybody. And we've been seeing the cover-up day after day by the Chinese government. They would not admit that they did not respond to this fast enough. And I do have my criticisms with President Trump and his administration as well. He didn't respond to this as swift as he should have. But then he was also preoccupied with impeachment, and that's something that we should also take into account. We should think about this because what is happening around the world today will change the world order and world structure as we know it. Because of this virus, the whole global structure will not be the same as it was a month ago. We will be seeing some changes. Please leave a comment below to keep the conversation going. If you'd like to share the video, please do. I really appreciate the likes and the shares. And please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Click the subscribe button below to see more of my future content. And I will see you tomorrow.